Hi, I'm Emil. You might remember me from Nier and Nier Automata. I appeared in the first half of the first game. And here is my story. My parents died in 2026, which is why I and my twin sister, Halua, were brought to a health facility. I loved the people over there and found them very caring and affectionate. But Halua saw something in them which I didn't see, and she always warned me against them. She always noticed that children were vanishing from the facility and new children were coming in. Halua and I were kept in a different room as we used to speak a different language. We used one thing to notice, and it was that every now and then, some kid in the facility would contract a serious disease and he or she would never come back. The same happened with my sister. They took her and she never came back. I had a curse which gave me something that would power for someone who has evil in his heart. But it is a big curse for me and has taken people I love away from me. I can turn any living being into a stone once I set my eyes on them. When I went into the underground laboratories after defeating Halua, which is something you will know later in this video, Halua told me that they make her unconscious and start doing experiments on her. Not only that, she heard the doctors a little and she discovered that the facility was actually an experimentation facility affiliated to the National Weapons Laboratory. They performed deadly experiments on orphans to turn them into a deadly weapon. She also heard them saying that she was their number 6 Spider-Man, which means that this had happened to 5 other children and I number 7. When they realized that my sister was more of a trouble, they forced me to use my petrifying power on her to turn her into a stone. I felt guilty for what I had to do. She could defend herself, but Halua chose to sacrifice herself. After petrifying the only person I loved in my life, my sister, I was broken. I should listen to my sister, and I should not have trusted the people at the hospital. After the death of my parents, she was the one who took care of me, who knew the evil antics of the people at the hospital, and they want to turn us into deadly weapons. In the end, I don't have a mother, I don't have a father, and I was forced to petrify my own sister, who only protected me from everyone. Now it's really hard for me to trust anyone. After the petrifying of my sister, the research facility shut down and I moved into an empty mansion with my butler. I hate my body, especially my eyes. This curse might be a superpower for an evil person, but for me, it is the biggest curse a person could get. This curse took away my sister from me, and now my petrifying powers are so severe that anything I set my eyes on will get turned into a stone. This is the reason why I blindfolded myself, to protect the road from my eyes and the curse related to them. The only person I trust at that time was Sebastian. After the petrifying of Halua, he was the one who took care of me and did whatever he could to find a cure for my curse. But like me, he also failed to do it. He wrote a letter to Nier and his daughter, Yona. Nier mistook the letter as a love letter for his daughter, and he came to my mansion to inquire. There I met Nier and his companions, Kane and Vice, and began to trust them with my issue. Whenever I used to meet them, I had to keep my eyes blindfold in order to protect them from the curse that was inflicted upon me. They were my friends, but due to an unfortunate turn of events, in which I had to keep the monstrous shape locked away, I had no options but to open my blindfold and petrify my friend and nearest companions, Kane. I need to find a cure for my curse, and along with Nier, I went to the underground laboratories so that we can bring Kane to his original state, but there I awakened Halua and have no choice but to defeat her. I reunited with my sister for a brief time, and it was beautiful. I miss Halu a lot, but I had to sacrifice her to lift the curse from me. After merging with my remaining, I did get magical powers, but my body turned into a scary skeleton, and the only thing I would do after looking in the mirror is cry. However, no matter how scary and creepy I look, Nier was always there with me, and he told me that I would be the same Emil to him, no matter what happens. He was quite right, And I have just changed in appearance, but from inside, I have the same pure heart. No matter how bad I look, I will always be a good person, or a good skeleton now, who will serve humanity in the best way. Now that I don't have the petrifying curse on me anymore, I could bring Kane back as me. Kane and Nier get back to our journey. Now we had to defeat the Shadow Lord, but at the battle in the town, I lost control of my powers, and they were so dangerous that I accidentally eradicated an entire village. My powers were just as scary as my appearance. All it took was one big blast when I was facing the two androids in the final battle. I love Nier and Kane, which is why to save them, I had to sacrifice myself. Then I remember how guilty I used to feel about my curse. I used to hate my eyes, but now my whole body is dangerous for everyone. But on the positive side of things, I got to have such amazing friends. I had achieved my purpose, which is why with a magical explosion, I vanished. But I do remember seeing my head remaining there in the desert. After the end of Nier, I rolled off, reconstruct my body, and went to reunite with my friends Nier and Kane. But after an unfortunate set of events, humanity went extinct, and the planet was invaded by aliens, which I had to fight off all on my own. Many places were precious to me, which is why I had to create millions of copies of myself in order to fend off the aliens from Earth. Soon, many better androids were being created to fight for the Earth, and my copies were just there to protect the fragments of my memory, and it was the only thing I had. In Nier Automata, 2B and 9S found me in a shopping mall and they gave me a flower, which destroyed some faded memories in my head and to remember the rest of the memories. It was important for them to collect more flowers for me. As I start getting the flowers, I start to remember how humanity went extinct and how I went against millions of aliens to protect planet Earth. I had to create millions of copies of myself, which divided my memory so many times that the real me was lost somewhere. This is my story. It isn't pretty, but it is what it is. I lost my parents, then I lost my sister, and then all I was doing is protecting the memories and the places that were precious to me. In the process, I did make some really good friends, and I appreciate how they helped me out. But in the end, it doesn't even matter.
だからってこんなの間違ってる。どんなに苦しくてもどんなに辛くてもあの人たちは諦めたりしなかった。いつか乗り越えられると信じて戦ってたんだ。そうですよね、カイデさん。無駄だと分かっていてもやらなきゃダメなんだ。だってあの人が守ろうとした世界なんだから。ダメだな。僕はあんな大事なことを最後に思い出すなんて。エミール、僕は逃げていたんです。大事な人を失った記憶から。だって辛くて苦しくて最後の最後でA2さんには迷惑をかけちゃいましたね。でももうすぐ会えるからきっと。
さっさと修理して元気に。
嫌だな。みんないるじゃん。会えてよく。
エミール。